Hi everyone, welcome to the event from Byte Academy in Nestria. I am Shubhankar. I am the full stack Python trainer at Byte Academy. So today we will be having an event on static versus dynamic versus SPA websites. All right. So we will be starting in a minute. So thank you once again, everyone. So let's wait for 1 minute and then we can start. So welcome once again, everyone. Now we will get started with our event. So before we jump onto the topic, I would like to tell a little bit about Nestria. So basically, Nestria is Byte Academy's sister company, and we're having one Discord server as well, where we will be having different channels, and in those channels we will find out a lot of informative contents. Okay, something related to data science. Then there will be channels related to full stack Python. Then there is JavaScript related channel. There is Python related channel. Okay, so there are jobs and careers channels as well. I will give a tour after this event or in the end of this event. Okay, so this is the Nestria link to join the Nestria Discord server. So the link is also available in the description box below. Okay? And don't worry, if the link is a little bit different, the link that is mentioned in the description box it will also land you to the Nestria Discord server. All right. So first you can go ahead, if you want to join this server, just go ahead and install Discord. Then you can sign up, and after that you just click on the link and it will drop you to our Nestria Discord server. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the topic. So it's basically the difference between the static websites, the dynamic websites, and the spa websites, or we will be learning that in detail. Okay, so basically it's single page application websites. Fine. Now, what are the differences? Because nowadays, there will be a lot of different ways to put up stuff in the web. Web is not simple anymore. Okay, web is kind of complicated stuff. Okay, and that's where these different terminologies come into the picture. Different types of website come into the picture. Previously, we used to have only static websites, and slowly dynamic websites came. And then now we are at a complete different era when we have this spa websites, or to be specific, it's single page application websites. Okay, but yeah, nothing is better than the other. Obviously, that will also go ahead and learn about that. Fine. So let's quickly look at the agenda for today. First, it is how the web works. Okay, before even we get started with this things, we first need to understand a little bit about how the web works for the absolute beginners, right? Then how the HTML is generated and served. Now over here, we will come to know that why these three terms even, or these three separations even came into the picture. Why there is static website, dynamic website, and the SPA websites, right? From where they came, okay? And that part we will come to know in this second phase, like how the HTML is generated and served from the server, obviously. Next is we will look at the dynamic website, the SPA website, and static website in short. Fine. And we will try to understand the advantage and disadvantage of each of them. Okay. So let's get started. First of all, how the web works. All right. Now, I'm not going through line by line everything. I will try to explain things in a more blog-based approach. Okay. So what happens in whenever we are thinking about web, we think about a web browser, right? So the first thing, let's say you wanna visit Google, what you do, okay, or maybe you wanna visit the Amazon, or you wanna visit maybe Facebook. So what you do, you go ahead and type facebook.com or amazon.in.com, whatever, on the address bar of the browser, right? The story starts from there. So whenever you're typing some domain name, by the way, that's called as a domain name already. So, and you press enter. So what happens is a request reaches to the, server, which is, supposed to serve this particular website. All right. Now, here I am making things a little bit simplified. I'm simplifying the stuff. Okay, because a lot of things happen in between. All right. Your browser doesn't really directly reach to the server, which is, serving the Facebook. Okay. Or they're not even a single server. Okay. So the, the architecture, how it works, the layouts, okay, is complicated. But on the top overview, in order to understand the static, dynamic, and SPA websites, we need not to understand in that depth. Okay. So what we can start with is the URL. So when a user requests a web page by entering a URL or click a link, okay, maybe there is a link, you click on the link and it will land you to the Facebook page, right? What really happened? It just basically because the link was, telling your browser that after when it will be clicked, you just redirect this particular user to the Facebook. Now, what really happens behind the scene? The browser sends a request to the server that hosts the website. So some server is just a simple computer like, we are having, okay, is just connected to the internet. That's it. Okay, it's a computer that is connected to the internet, but yeah, obviously we are not talking about the servers that is, serving the Facebook and Google, this kind of website. This will be huge, buildings, okay, and there will be a lot of powerful computers, all right? Those servers are very powerful, all right? But after all, they are computer in the end, okay? So long story short, so here the server, your browser is requesting for that particular web page, and how your browser is mentioning which web page, basically based on the URL. URL means universal resource locator. So that you type www.facebook.com or amazon.in, right? So basically your browser says that I need this particular, website, okay? And that server, that request somehow reaches to the server where it's supposed to reach, okay? Again, in between, lots of things are happening. Let's not focus on that one. So somehow that request reaches to the server, and that server will be sending us the response. All right. So that's why the server then processes the request. Okay, obviously it will going to go through the URL and try to understand. Okay, okay, apart from the URL, there will be lots of other information that will be reaching to that server. Okay, now the server from where your browser has requested the website, so it will review that. Okay, what kind of request you have made. Okay, so there is a lot of protocols. Okay, standard procedures. Okay, so now after that, when it will be reviewed, it will be generating a response. Fine, it will be generating a response. Again, what does it mean by generating a response? It is not only just sending us a HTML file or maybe CSS or JavaScript file. Okay, Along with that, lots of other details also it will going to see. So it basically generates a response and sent back to the browser. All right. So my browser has requested that. So it will be sending exactly to my browser. Okay. That okay. You have requested facebook.com and here you go. That this is the facebook.com. All right. And after that, you can just play around on the page. Fine. If it is login page, okay, you have asked for, so then you can just again enter the ID and the password. Again, you can press on sign in. That will again going to send a request to the server, Facebook server, and then again that cross checking will happen whether the username and password is valid. All right, and then again it will be processed by that Facebook, and then the response will be sent. And what will be the response? Your home page. Home page of what? Your profile. Okay. And if you have entered a wrong password or wrong user ID itself, then it will be sending you the response that, okay, the ID that you have entered, it's wrong, or the password that is corresponding to this ID that is wrong. So this is how this, whole thing is working on the top level. Okay. And this happens to any website, okay, whatever you visit. Okay. Now, in the case of web page, the response from the server will input HTML code. Okay. Now, the browser, when uses HTML code to render the web page on user's device, displaying the content and visual elements on the web page. Without the HTML code provided in the response, the web page would not be able to be displayed properly in the browser. Okay, so our browser is basically not, then now the question could come like how the browser is understanding this HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So browser is designed in that way. Okay, so it can understand the decode what is written in this HTML. Okay, how to put that CSS just for starting, sorry, styling, for beginners. All right. So CSS basically we're going to put the life onto your web page. So usually the web page only designed with HTML is kind of dull. Okay, so CSS is there, cascading style sheet. Okay, it's a kind of code, not a programming language. It's a type of language. Okay, by the way, HTML and CSS are kind of languages, or in fact they are languages, but they are not programming languages. Okay, programming languages are something separate. So this HTML, this is hypertext markup language, so it is indeed a language, a computer language. CSS is also kind of language, but they are not programming language. Okay, but here JavaScript, okay, which brings the dynamicity, okay, which make the modern websites possible, all right, with these animations and all those stuff. Okay, then these games and everything, okay, this SPA, to be specific, this SPA websites, it will be completely based on JavaScript. Okay, so but JavaScript is a programming language, all right, it's not any kind of language like this HTML or CSS. Okay, we can write logic in JavaScript. Okay, that's what make it a programming language. So yeah, so that is it. Okay, but here I have mentioned this particular term over here, which is the in case of a web page. So I have written this in case of a web page. Okay, let me read the full sentence. In case of a web page, the response from the server will include HTML code. Now, what else can happen then? So definitely there is a possibility of something else, right? Will be written, what will be written by the server? Yeah, indeed it is. So there could be the response could be could not be a HTML actually, always, not always. If it is a web page, then only it will be a HTML code that you will be receiving from the server against a response as a response against a request. Okay, so when you make a request from a server, the server is giving you or serving you the HTML file, HTML maybe CSS and JavaScript file. Okay, but this will not going to be the case always. This will be the case only when the server is serving you the web page. So what else we can get? We can get some JSON response. Okay, so let's not go much into that JSON. Okay, so JSON is just it will going to return you some string. Okay, you can think of it as a string in a very specific format, which is kind of famous and also can be decoded by lots of different programming languages like JavaScript, Python. Anyone can take that string, which is JSON, okay, and can take out the information from there systematically. Okay, Otherwise, you can just go ahead and read it. But the main thing is why there is even a format like JSON, JavaScript object notation, just because we want things to be standardized. All right. So that's what. Okay. So it won't be always a HTML code. It might be a JSON response. All right. You can imagine, a mobile application. Fine. Let's say a mobile app. It is also making requests to a server. So that time the server is not returning a HTML page. It's an application. It needs some data. Okay. Maybe some person has, like some server sends us, we have stored the contact details. Okay. And when you are making the request to the server, it will return the contact details that have already saved on that server. In that case, it need not to return me HTML. We are not viewing any web page. The application wants the data. Now the data could be in some standardized form, right? So JSON is one of that standardized form. All right. So there is XML as well. All right. So, but the famous one nowadays is, JSON. Okay. There is YAML as well, but YAML is not much used for this purpose. It is for some, configuration purpose. All right. But all these things are just for, standardizing stuff. There's some information we need from the server. The server will put in some specific format so that everyone, different language can detect, decode that. Okay. So this is the, whole story about how this web works. Okay. Next is how the HTML is generated and served. Okay. As we've seen that the HTML is getting generated in the server, right? So there are three primary options for generating the HTML code required for rendering websites. Okay, and we will be completely talking about websites only. Fine, no JSON. All right. So these alternatives include generating the code dynamically on the fly. So there are three ways. So now we are completely focusing on what the server is doing. Okay, how the server is generating this response. So basically, the server can do three things. At least in the modern, right now, current scenario. First, it can generate the code dynamically on the fly. What does it mean by that? We will see it. Okay. And from this name, you can understand that it's the dynamic web pages, right? Second, pre-generated, finished HTML pages. Okay. So sorry about this typo over here. So it's basically pre-generated and finished HTML pages, okay? And uploading them to the server, okay? So basically, someone has already prepared some HTML, uploaded in the server, and whenever request them, the server gives that file. That's it, okay? Next is utilization or combination of both approach, okay? Not really a good combination, but combination in such a way that, it will be giving us a modern application, the mobile application like feelings. Okay, so let's see what is these things are all about. First is dynamic web page. Okay, so what is a dynamic web page? Basically, with the aid of a server-side programming language and usually a templating engine, HTML pages are generated dynamically on the server. What does that simply means is, let's say you are right now, you have made some request to the Facebook, okay, about the home page or the login page. Let's say login page. Okay, the server has sent you the login page. Now, one little bit caution before you go ahead. I am using Facebook as an example. All right, it doesn't mean that Facebook use dynamic web pages. All right. Okay, it could be a SPA as well. So they will be using, a complicated mix of technologies. All right. So anyway, so if we even just think of it like this, Facebook is using dynamic web pages, and indeed it used to do, but what they do in a modern time, it's a question we need to have a little bit deep research about it. Okay, what they exactly do. But nowadays, probably people follows the single page application. Okay, like Netflix, they have the single page application. Okay, type website. Fine. But anyway, let's stick on to the dynamic web page for now. So here what is happening, imagine you have already requested, you have entered a URL where you are requesting the home page for the Facebook, okay, or the login page for the Facebook. It reached to your browser. Great. Now you are entering your password and your ID. Clicked on sign in. All right. The request has reached there. Now the story begins. Now imagine that you have entered everything correctly. Okay. So when the home page will be returned to you, the HTML, okay, the CSS, the JavaScript, okay, combination of these three, when it will be sent to your, browser, that time it should be, your profile only, right? Now, think of it like there is a layout already, fine. Now, in that layout, it is fixed that where the logo will appear, it is fixed, right? It's not that in your profile, the logo appears in the left-hand side, someone else's profile, logo will going to appear on the right top, right bottom corner. It's not that, right? Okay, maybe logo, it's on the left-hand side, okay? Profile name, maybe just beside the logo, okay? Maybe how many people are online or friends on the right-hand side, that the list will be there on the right side of the website. Then after that, the post and messages may be in the middle. Okay, in the left hand side, maybe some apps or something like that. Okay, so this layout is fixed, right? But what will going to change? The internal content of that layout, right? You can think of it as an empty apartment. So the apartment stays the same. Now, if you change the family, maybe the way they keep or arrange the stuff in that might change. Okay, so things are kind of like that in the dynamic web page. So a framework or a outer layout is present on on the server. So the server uses, that's why, this templating engine. Okay, so using this templating engine, so what they do, they just, let's say if it is your homepage, your related post, your friends list related to you will come on the right side. Your profile name will appear, your profile photo will appear. Maybe if I am making a request, my profile photo, my name, my friend list, and my related post will come, right? So here it's just like when the server sees the request from whom it has all the data, right? It can figure out from whom the request has came and which post, which friend list, which app, which name, which image it has to put. It can figure out that. Okay, it has the system over there. Okay, it will figure that out from your email ID and it will put those data using this templating engine. All right, and it will send that to you. So your browser's work will be just to decode that code, that language, whatever is written in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and show that to you. That's it. Okay, so this is what dynamic web page is all about. Okay, it is getting generated every time. Fine. Next is let's single page application. We will cover in the third. Okay, let's continue with this static web page. Static web page, something is like just someone has already put some HTML, CSS, or maybe JavaScript, okay, and it's there on the server, and related to that some URL is there. The same thing, just like we did in the dynamic web page, we just make the request and the files that are there on the server as it is, it will be returned to your browser. No changing, no templating engine, nothing. Okay, so at a simple level, these are the static web pages at a simple sense. Okay, now here if we read, so HTML pages are pre-generated and are stored on the server, typically not manually but created or generated using static site generator. Okay, now there is something called a static site generator. Okay, those will be generating the static site, okay, or the web page. But for our simplicity, we can just think of it as like it is everything which is prepared, which thing will be there. Okay, like if I am making the request, nothing will be customized when it will come to me. Okay, then if someone else is making the request, nothing will going to change on the web page and will going to come to that user. No, it will not going to happen. For everyone, it is the same. Okay, that's what the essence of static web page. That's why it's static, right? Someone has already generated it and before stored on the server. You can see it here, even though we are generating it with some static site generated, but still it's being stored on the server, and it has done before already. We have done it already. Okay, and then it is stored on the server. Okay, and anyone in this world making that request, they are just going to get the same file. That's it. Same set of HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Okay. So these are two kind of opposite stuff. Okay. In the dynamic page, there will be layout and the data according to the user who has made the request, the data will be customized and given. In static web page, doesn't matter who has made the request. Everything will be same and the page will be given. That's it. And over here, one thing in common in what can be common in dynamic and static website? Well, the thing that is common in these two websites are our, the browser did not to do any hard work or much hard work. Yeah, it is doing somewhat hard work, that it is, it is reading through that HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It is applying whatever it's supposed to, whatever the page supposed to look like. Okay, it is just doing that much of hard work, and that is same for dynamic and static web pages. Okay. Okay, so in dynamic web page, the server is doing some hard work that time. It has to customize the data, right, based on the user. And in static web page, no one is doing any hard work. No, the browser, nothing. The server also nothing. Whatever something is there in the server, it's just sending to you. Okay. Whereas little bit different in single page application. Okay. So in a single page application, the SPA approach, the server returns a single pre-generated HTML page that includes JavaScript code. The JavaScript code is responsible for dynamically changing the page in browser. What I just said, it might look like this static web page, right? Somewhat. Yes, it is very close to this static web pages. Then what makes it different? Well, in a static web page, there will be the content won't be much, changing, right? Let's say my resume. So if I'm putting my resume on the website and someone is, some recruiter is and visiting that website, they are gonna get that same the resume, right? Nothing is much changing. But in single page application, what happens? Obviously, there will be a fixed HTML and CSS is coming, but along with that, a ton of JavaScript code will be returned. Okay. Now, what is this JavaScript doing? So this JavaScript is doing all the magic behind the scene. So this JavaScript code will be responsible to display all the content on the page. Fine. Now, if you visit the website like Netflix, you will get a feel of mobile application like feeling. Okay, the smooth nature. All right, and even in YouTube. Now, what is the difference? One small difference I will tell between the single page and this dynamic one. So if you want to understand some website uses dynamic approach or single page application, which one? So one simple way to understand is you visit the URL, their website, and you click on some button or click on some link, okay, whatever. Okay, you click on some button, some feature you use from that website. If you see that on the left-hand side, left top corner, or wherever is that, reload sign is that arrow kind of sign, right? That, circular arrow kind of sign. If that rotates, you need to understand that it is a dynamic web page. It means your browser is still making the request to the server. The server is, when you clicked on maybe the game page, maybe, Facebook, you clicked on the games. So some new page will reload from where it is coming. In each click, there will be a request going to the server. The server is again preparing a new page completely. And that's why that thing is rotating on your browser. And it will be receiving the response, okay, and it will be a brand new, maybe gaming page, okay, and when it will be completely loaded onto your browser, that spinning will stop. So it is a dynamic web page. But then now let's comes to the single page application. Now, if this happens again and again, in every click it will reload, takes some time at least. It takes very small time, but Yeah, based on the connection, system, it might take 1 or 2 seconds, and it doesn't give us mobile like feeling. Mobile application, if you see the mobile application, nothing reloads over there. You click and it goes to the next page. If you press back, it comes to the previous page, right? So those kind of thing was not possible using the dynamic web page. So people come up with the concept of single page application. So over here, what happens in the single page application, they have designed it in such a way that once, okay, first thing is, whenever you are maybe visiting YouTube, you can see that the YouTube might take a little bit time when it is loading for the first time. Okay, but once it is there on your browser, if you click some link or do anything, okay, don't click on some external link, just goes to some external link, right? So I'm not talking about that, but what I'm talking about is internally. You click on some video, you come back, everything will be handled by the JavaScript. Okay, your browser is not making a request for a complete new page. Okay, it is not making a request to give a complete new page. And that's why if you look at that spinner on the maybe left top corner or wherever it is on your browser, you will see it's not spinning. Okay, and even you can visit Netflix, and you will be able to see that the page doesn't reload. Even if you're clicking on some movie thumbnail and the thumbnail gets bigger and you are about to watch that movie or series, you won't see that things are happening dynamically on the page, but the spinner is not rotating, and it will give you a very mobile like feelings. Okay, it will make you feel like you're using a mobile application. Okay, so that's where the single page application came into the picture, because behind the scene, what is happening, it is actually not making any new request for a whole page. Now listen to me very carefully. I'm telling that it is not making a complete new page request. So what is basically happening? So imagine that, let's say this particular title we need to change. Okay, this how this HTML is generated and so this particular title we need to change. What we have to do, let's say some button is there. I will click on that button. And if it is a dynamic web page, what will happen? A complete new page request, whole page. It doesn't matter something changed over here or not. Maybe nothing is changing on this whole thing. Just this title changes. Okay, I know this is not a good example, but just think of it like this. The content, nothing is changing. Okay, only this, or maybe the content is changing, the title is changing, but on the left hand side, wherever you can see this Byte Academy in this blue color, nothing is changing. But still, a complete new page will be generated. Request, obviously request is going there to the server. A complete new page will be generated and it will be sent to you. A complete new page, even though this was not necessary, right? This much thing was common, right? We didn't even needed that. We just wanted to change the title and the content, right? But still, a complete new page will be given to you, and your browser will load the complete new page. That's why the spinner will spin, and that's what the approach for dynamic web page. Whereas in the single page, what will going to happen? It is smart. So it will never going to make a complete new page request. The page will remain same. That's why name is single page. The page will remain same. What will going to happen is you're behind the scene while you're using the application, looking at all the content. That time itself, when you click on some button, and in the background, a request will be going to that server for only giving you a new content for only this part and only this part. That's it. It will never going to ask a request that I want to change this one as well. No, it won't do. Okay, so I want to change only the content. Why I need to get a complete new page? It will be burden on the server as well, right? So that's what the concept of the single page application. But behind the scene, obviously, it is making a request to the server, but it is a very lightweight request, right? Let's say only the title and content. Very lightweight request. Okay. So this is the story about static web page, single page application, and dynamic page. And the main thing why the single page application approach came into the picture, because we wanted wanted to bring a feeling of that mobile like experience, that smoothness onto the website. Okay. So you can just try out or observe, I would say. Definitely, I'm absolutely sure that everyone tries out that Netflix, YouTube for sure, right? But yeah, so you can observe these changes from now on, okay? And obviously, you can visit some website and you can understand that whether that's a dynamic web page and whether it's a single page application, okay? Based on that, whether it's loading or not, okay? There are other ways, okay? Maybe we will be covering that in future videos. So here is some advantage, disadvantage, dynamic. Now, again, one thing, nothing is better than the other. Everything related to the requirement. Fine. If you go visit the NASA website, you will see, okay, at least when I last time visited, it was a dynamic website. Now you might be thinking they're so smart, why then they're not making it a mobile-like structure, right? Or the SPA. So if the content are too much, all right, it's a very resource heavy, things might not really gonna be working in the single page application, all right? Sometimes, okay, it depends upon a lot of factors. Let's not discuss about that, but yes, nothing, that the point I want to emphasize on, nothing is better than the other, okay? It's just because it's absolutely depend on the requirement, okay? And that's why nowadays React is getting famous. React is a JavaScript framework, sorry, JavaScript library, I'm sorry. React is not a framework. Officially, it's a JavaScript library, but yeah, it's a kind of pseudo framework because it is having so much of power, and it has started a kind of ecosystem with other third-party libraries. It is kind of working as a framework, but yeah, it's still a library officially. Okay? Anyways, so this dynamic web pages, so there is nothing good, bad, or something like that. So everything is having own, pros and cons. Okay. So this dynamic website, if we see now advantage, the benefit of dynamic generated HTML pages and serving them to the client is that it provides a complete website, including all the data, which is important for the search engine crawlers. Very important. If you want to have a good, I mean, like you want your website to get recognized by the crawlers. So it's very important that, so basically in short-term SEO, okay, search engine optimization. So it will be better for the dynamic websites. Okay, no doubt. Okay. Additionally, all of the site logic simply means that loading and all those stuff, right? This loading the content and changing the page content, everything takes place in the server, right? So the server need to be very powerful. Okay, but you need not to worry about that. That is taken care by the company. You just worry about the taking that, website and viewing it on your browser, and your browser need not to do much hard work. That's what I said before, right? What is the disadvantage? A disadvantage of this approach is every page a user visit need to be generated on the server. So again and again, even you click on the button, request will go to the server will again process, and then again it will be sending a complete web page. Maybe only this particular part changed. Still, it will going to give the whole web page. This web page will be thrown away. That new web page will be loaded. So that's a problem. Okay, I hope you can understand that. Next, SPA, we know that, we already know what is this all about. Advantage, we know the advantage, right? Everything it will be very smooth, dynamic, okay. It will give you a fluid and faster, fluid user experience, and it will be very fast. A mobile-like experience it will going to give you, right? Disadvantage. First disadvantage I want to, point out it is SEO, search engine optimization, or for the crawler. Basically, in dynamic website, every content is put into the HTML and will be coming, right? And in between these, the crawlers will going to look at the content, okay, and going to index. So what basically trying to mean is the Google will be able to adjust the SEO in a very good way in the dynamic page, because the content is already there. Your browser is just getting that and viewing it. But in SPA, as I told before, the content will be generated by the so the page that will be coming, it will be almost empty, okay, empty. And the page, when it will be coming to your browser, the JavaScript will be running, and the JavaScript then starts to make requests and bring those stuff, okay, dynamically. That's why initially it will going to take a little bit time to load, And once it has loaded, it will bring all the content. Then everything will happen, dynamically. Okay. Let's say you want to change this much part, only a small request will go to the server and little bit data will come and will be changed in just, milliseconds. Okay. You won't even feel that something is changing. Okay. So that creates a problem for SEO, but no worries. There are workarounds, but that's not easy. Isn't that there is some extra work. All right. So that's why we can tell that in the SEO part, dynamic websites are better. Okay. Last, static websites, advantage. Now there is a saying that, if you want to do something very easy, why to take, very, big missile for that. All right. So that's the thing, if you want a very simple website, there nothing changes much, right? You can go ahead and build a static website. You need not to, follow the approach of SPA, right? And disadvantage, obviously, the disadvantage is kind of, it's not dynamic. That's what it is. Fundamental disadvantages. Okay. Its attribute itself is a disadvantage, right? It's a static website. Okay. Not much kind of disadvantage in that sense, because the website is static, right? So, uh, it's its attribute, right? So it stays static, right? So yeah, that's kind of, if you're thinking that kind of, the downside of this kind of websites. Another thing is, if you want to, have a dynamic thing, let's say in every one day, the content changes. That time, if you are following static website, each in every one day, you have to put up new pages to the server, right? Makes sense, right? And that's not something easy to deploy everything everyday basis. There are automation stuff, but again, deployment again and again, that is a huge phase in a web development, right? So deployment we have to do again and again. So why to go for that? If something is changing in one day, in every one day, so we can just go for a dynamic web page. That's it. Okay, but everything depends, okay, on a lot of factors. Fine. So yeah, that's it for today, guys. So if you have any question regarding this particular session, you can just join the Discord server quickly, and then you can just type my name over there, or you can just look at the drop a message on this channel, data science or data science resources launch, or other channels like Python and JavaScript. I will be available there to answer the questions. And I would also like to give you a quick overview before we end the session. Okay, just give me a second. All right, so this is how the Nestria server looks like. So this, here you go. This is the Nestria server, and you can see that right now the event is going on, right? And I think you can see it is showing that the event is happening. Now this kind of event will be there, the tech events every Friday, and there will be career events as well. So if you're part of the server, there will be, there are lots of community members, more than 1,000 already. So you will get a lot of benefit. And most important thing, yeah, this event is there always. Next is this Python launch, Python resources, data science, resources launch, JavaScript. Okay, blockchain is there. Okay, then there are careers channel as well. Okay, so here are the careers channel. Fine. So there are other channels here, Byte Academy, free courses, some free courses also. We run some free courses as well. So lots of stuff goes on over here. Okay, so you can join the server to get out, to get a lot of benefit out of it. Okay, so yeah, that's it for today's, guys. Please consider joining our server. All right, thank you everyone. Thank you.